Hello, I'd like to thank the speakers for inviting me today. I'm from the European Bioinformatics Institute, and we're part of the European Molecular Biology Lab. We're situated in Cambridge, and we're the only dedicated bioinformatics part of EMBL. And I'd like to tell you a bit about what we're doing, mainly with our online learning. So part of our mission is to train people. We do have master's and PhD students, but our mission is really to train any users of our service data. And our user training started off with a dedicated teaching lab at our EBI. We then branched out where we got invited to various different, predominantly universities, but also institutes and industry. We collaborate most regularly with Cambridge University, where we do up to 10 week-long sessions a year. Cambridge has, if you like, an auxiliary teaching unit that deals with out-of-classroom learning, things like programming languages, statistics, database usage. They take in not only biology students, bioinformatics students, but also medical students. So they ran a course recently on medical imaging. So it's a whole range of different topics that is outside the classroom teaching. But within the last year, we are now moving on to some online learning as well, because we're just not quite filling the capacity. We have more training requests than we can deal with, mainly because our trainers are both programmers and curators who are working with the system. That means that they are experts in their fields, which is very good, but the downside is that they don't have that much teaching time. So there's very few courses that they can actually do. So trying to put the teaching material online means we can better able to help the users. Our teaching tries to cover all the services that we do at EBI, from sequence databases in both nucleotide and protein sequences, structure databases, pathway databases. We try to cover all that in teaching, plus a lot of tools, programmatic access, sequence search, structure analysis, alignment tools. We try to really cover courses in everything we teach. In addition, we've had a lot of requests for statistics courses, but sometimes it's just finding teachers who can regularly teach is part of our problem. This is what the new website's going to look at. It's just showing you a bit about our training. This is face-to-face training. We just list all our courses. And for people that want to have EBI come to them, we have a section mainly talking about funding, how to get us there. But what we're finding is that data analysis for life sciences is a lot of the bottleneck. A lot of the life scientists that we teach don't have any bioinformatics experience. Some of them have no computer experience. And this goes more for the professors than the students in the class sometimes. Also, our user community is diversifying and growing. It's not just life sciences. It's a lot of medics out there, medical informatics, a lot of industry users, a lot of specialty niches that use our data that also want to have hands-on training. Looking for the users side of it, what they're wanting to get out of it. There's a lot of new methodologies that are coming up. People might have a request to learn specific areas. This is particularly biologists. They might suddenly have a need to do sequence alignments and have had no training in it, and we want to help them. Also, with mobile technology, people are expecting to be able to do things online now, anywhere they want. We're also looking at lifelong learning, not just undergraduates or postgraduate students, but people who are working in their field that you know, technology is moving on, and they might have to learn something that they have no knowledge of. And also shrinking resources. You know, not everyone can afford to come out to Cambridge to take one of our courses, and they can't afford to bring us over to their university. So we're trying to fill a niche that is certainly out there. From the from the course provider's point of view, we're trying to manage, really our audiences are very heterogeneous. Some of them, as I say, don't have much computer knowledge at all. They're coming from very diverse backgrounds, and they want to use our tools and services in very different ways. Also, trying to share our training resources and improve the training experience as well. So our Train Online, everything of course is free. You don't necessarily have to have any previous experience, and really we're looking at users of our data, and that can be anybody out there. We've divided it up into sections where we have quick tours that are for people that are unfamiliar with the service or the tools. We then go on to the essentials, which cover the core elements of the services, and then we have more advanced, such as programmatic access, and we have different levels, different types of courses. This is what our new page for the Train Online is looking at. We're trying to embed more lectures into it so that there's some sort of pseudo face-to-face. We're also trying to put together forums so students can get together with the experts at a particularly designated time and have online question-answer periods. We put all our courses under topics such as genomes, proteomes, and then each one have a list of courses. When you go into a course, you have a menu here, partly so that you can jump to the region you're interested in. We have people that might want to come in, learn the entire course, go from start to finish. But what we're finding is most people have a problem to solve. They want to know how to, for instance, go into the nucleotide sequence database and download data. They can go into that section of the course, learn what they need, and go out. So we're trying to make it as easy to use as possible. We have learning objectives. We have cases, examples that we can use. We have individual questions that people can try, and then they can go on and see the basically problem solving. We have short quizzes to see if there's any areas that they're lacking in that they can then go back to. So fairly flexible. We're also trying to evaluate continually, because this is new for us, this online, it's only been up for a year. We're trying to evaluate how well it works, both from the author's point of view, evaluating the actual system itself, and we move from Moodle to Drupal, and sometimes it's hard to find a platform that satisfies everyone. Also, the courses, we put them out for user testing. We have tried to do some polls. Not everyone's willing to do this. However, those that do the polls have genuinely given us some good feedback. Looking at statistics, and what we've now got is some Google Analytics, which are actually extremely useful because they break down the page and they look at all the links and they give you the numbers of people clicking those links and how long they spend on each page, which is really useful because if you see some links not being used at all, you have to redesign your page because sometimes it might be intuitive for the author, but the user actually don't see those links. To give you a really brief idea of the statistics, looking at unique visitors, we're getting around 17,000 so far this year. But the nice part about it is that we are hitting a slightly different audience. With our road shows, most of them tend to be European, either part of EMBL or non-EMBL states. This is obviously because most of the funding we get is European, and therefore European universities can have us over for free, whereas most others have to pay, and therefore those resources are limited. The nice thing about Train Online is that where we're not visiting so frequently are starting to pick up larger number of people online, such as Asia and America, South America. Countries that we don't visit very frequently have better access online. So where are we heading with this now? Well, we're trying to integrate our online work with the face-to-face courses, not only as standalone courses that people can do, but also to help with the face-to-face learning. For instance, online quizzes to see if people can come to our face-to-face courses if they're suitable. Now, most of our courses don't have prerequisites, but some, such as programmatic access, do. And what we find is that although we put down that people need Perl, Python, or C, whatever the language they're working in, a lot of people turn up and spend quite a lot of money to come with no programmatic experience whatsoever, and they really struggle. So with courses that do have a valid requirement, if they do a quick quiz, like a simple programming quiz in Perl, then they can see themselves whether they're able to come to our course, and it doesn't waste their time. During the course, of course, we can have supplemental material online. We can have some problem solving, and that we can have online specifically for a course, especially if it's a specific group like next-gen sequencing or plant bioinformatics. We can tailor some specific problems just for them and have them online. And if they're successful, then they can be transferred to our regular online course. And then, of course, after the face-to-face learning, we're looking at putting a lot of our materials on online books, such as wikibooks, so that everyone can have access, and it also reinforces what people have learned. Plus, the e-learning, we find that after about a year, some people come back and retake the course, and if it's on e-learning, then of course they don't need to do that. They can have all the follow-up later on. Other directions we're going on is we're trying to increase the traffic to our online learning environment. And of course, we don't have a publicity budget, so we can't do a lot of advertising. So instead, we're trying to link up to places that people tend to go naturally, and that's Wiki. They get a huge amount of traffic, and therefore we're trying to, in effect, capitalize on that traffic. Right now, any of our courses where we have glossary terms, we're linking those glossary terms into Wikipedia. But also in reverse, and this isn't done yet, we're wanting to link from Wikipedia to our courses where it's relevant. So for instance, Interpro is one of the databases housed by EBI. There's a wiki page. We would like to have a link from the wiki page to our Interpro online e-learning tutorial. It's not there yet, but we're planning to put these links in. We're also planning to link into Wikiversity. So a lot of our courses we're looking at putting on to Wikiversity. What's stopping us at the moment is just time constraints, because we're all in Drupal and it takes time for someone to actually copy and paste and put it into Wikiversity. So we're going to start with the short courses first, just because of we don't have dedicated trainers. It's really our curators and programmers have got to do this in their spare time. But we would like to transfer as many of our courses as possible onto Wikiversity. Also, we would like to start contributing to Wikibooks. A lot of our material we can put in greater depth into Wikibooks and then link that again to the courses, because they're a different aspect of learning. And then finally, the last thing I'd like to touch on is it's not only about the users, it's also about the trainers themselves. And this hasn't been started by EBI. This has been started by a group of bioinformatics trainers, some of whom are at EBI. It's the Bioinformatics Training Network. And what they wanted was a site where they could exchange materials as well as experiences. So it's an organization set up by informatics trainers, for trainers. They have a list of actual trainers. They can put their materials up on the site, a list of training facilities, a list of courses. The idea is that if you're trying to do a course, if you're a course organizer, you have a list of trainers and venues that you can use, as well as materials. The nice thing about having the materials up there is that, of course, there's a lot of sharing. You don't have to repeat things that are out there. It also helps to build education standards, because people are seeing what's out there. Here's a list of some of the courses that have been put up here. We've introduced this rating system, also blogs. People can comment, and you can see how useful the course is. This is good not just for people using these courses, but also for the authors themselves, because if there's problems with the course, they can then take it back and rewrite it. The other nice thing is that we try to keep the materials up to date. So if material is a year old, the author will get a note. And if it's not updated, then it will be removed from the site. So the idea is that you don't get outdated materials up here. The exception being courses. There's been a request that for some useful courses, such as the Wellcome Trust Summer School that we run, that all those lectures get put up on this site, and in which case, even after a year, they would still remain. And that's really everything I have to say. Just some things that came out of our e-learning. It's important to look at the type of management system, whether you use Drupal, whether you use Moodle. They're all very different, different capabilities. And it's worthwhile spending time getting this right. We spent quite a bit of time with it because both the authors and the users have got to be happy with the tools. They've also got to have the capabilities that you require. You know, do you want to embed videos? What's the best way to do it? Also, quality control. We're trying to make a lot of our e-learning very consistent. So if you do one course, the look and feel is very same with the other. But on the other hand, you don't want to restrict the authors. So just looking at how much is embedded with videos, how much is text, drawings, just trying to get the look and feel right is actually not trivial when you're doing dozens of courses. Clarity of ownership is important. I'm not talking about copyright here. I'm talking about who is responsible for the course, because certainly with an institute like EMBL, people come and go quite frequently. And we're building up quite a large bank of courses, and it's a case of keeping them up to date, especially with websites change and those that are linked to our services. You have to spend a lot of time updating these courses. They go out of date every month or two as there's tweaks to the databases. So having valid ownership that they're going to take responsibility, not just to write it, but to look after it, is actually quite a considerable commitment. And then trying to increase traffic through Wiki and putting as much of our materials on the BTN so that other people can take them and use them is a large part of what we're trying to do. Okay, thank you.
Do you automatically grade assignments or something? Or you have only materials and they
on BTN, on the BTN, people just put up their lectures, and it's people who use them, download them, that put up their comment system, a bit like Amazon, how they give them the star rating and how they like them. In terms of our e-learning online courses, the quizzes we have, you get a percentage of how many you got right, how many you got wrong, and it also gives you the right answers so you can see, because it's a learning tool, it's not academic, it's not being graded, it's for users.
So you teach a lot of useful things and apparently introduce students to a variety of tools, for example, NetJam tools, right? My question is, to what extent you introduce them to the ideas behind this tools? For example, do you teach them suffix trees that are behind many of these next generation sequencing tools? And if you do, how do you do this for such a diverse audience? So you need to first to bring them to the same level before you start explaining. How does it work?
Well, I've done, or I'm in the middle of doing the sequence searching tool. So, and we provide a number of different search algorithms, BLAST, FASTA, True Smith-Waterman's, and it is a fine balance because you've got to be careful that a lot of people that are using them don't have computational backgrounds, and if you give them too much of the background, a lot of our trade tend to be users, they want to use it. And there is this balance between enough knowledge that they're able to use it proficiently, compared to just giving them the how-to step by step. Certainly in my sequence search tool, I try to give them some of the background of how it's working, but it is fairly scant. It's not meant to be a bioinformatics education that, say, an undergraduate would expect to learn. It is a lot more superficial. It really is a user. I want to use these tools. How does BLAST differ from FASTA, from S-Search? But also having enough background they're able to use it. Looking at things such as, do I search a protein or a nucleotide database? What's the difference? Why can I get further down in evolution with proteins than nucleotides? Looking at a little bit of concepts that would help people use the tools. But it really is meant for users and not bioinformatics training. So we are quite a different approach. It is more superficial. It is more how you use the services and tools, but in depth enough.
So your typical student, how much time does he or she willing to invest? Like, what, 40 hours or more?
Well, our longest courses are about 3.5 hours. So they are.
1 week long.
Oh, those are the hands-on courses. So the hands-on courses like the Wellcome Trust Summer School would have a range of different services. They would be focused. We'd also have other people coming, like different people from outside the EBI would come to give the courses as well, and it would be on a particular topic. So maybe you'd have microarray technology. You would have people talking about the microarray databases. You'd also have someone coming in maybe to teach a bit of R. It really depends on what's being taught. So the week-long ones are usually covering a wide array of services: proteomics, genomics, looking at multiple databases. And they're so long because they're covering a large amount of material, but not in tremendous depth. It is a user focus. I think that's the main thing to say.
Why did you stop using Moodle?
Sorry?
Why did you stop using Moodle?
We didn't like some of the features we found when we did some author testing, that Drupal was easier to actually, for the authors to work in and more flexible. So we've gone to Drupal. We felt we liked it better. I know some other e-learning have been moving away from Moodle too. So, but I mean, there isn't one best platform out there. Unfortunately, they all have pros and cons. Drupal has problems too.